blow my mind, Sharlene. Here we are at the last of our 8-part series on blasting that midlife belly. I am Cheryl Gordon. I help midlife women sleep better, feel stronger, and lose weight using the tools of yoga and mindfulness.
And I am Charlene Stiles, a certified holistic nutritionist, life coach, and metabolism mechanic.
We have delivered some really essential info in this series for women our age as we struggle with midlife metabolism meltdown. But we have not discussed any diet. And that's because, my friends, diet trauma is probably responsible, at least in part, for you holding on to your weight.
Yes. And if we can just shout out from the rooftops, like, stop the craziness. Break free from the matrix of the diet culture. And you do not have to starve yourself. You do not have to cut out carbs or muster up superhuman willpower just to get the scale to move. That is so outdated. It's harmful. And you probably already know by now that it just doesn't work in the long run. So, what we're talking about here is eating smarter and not smaller, nourishing your body in a way that feels doable and sustainable for life so that it's not punishing. And that's how we create sustainable weight loss while still living your real life, enjoying food, and not ditching all the guilt. Or, sorry, with ditching all the guilt, not
Yeah. No guilt. We're a no
no
guilt
guilt, no
zone.
guilt.
Well, last year I lost 25 pounds by just doing what you're saying. I called it mindful eating, and there are lots of free resources on my website to explain the how-tos. We'll have a deeper dive course coming on my website soon about this. So mindful eating is, I think, what I would call it.
Yeah, I love that. And part of that is just knowing the biggest food mistakes that we, particularly as women, are making, and particularly in midlife, because it's not that you're doing it wrong, it's just that you've been misled. So once you get the truth, it's actually really quite simple. So, mistake number one, if I can bring your attention to it, is not getting enough protein. So it's not just for muscle building, it's about stabilizing blood sugar, keeping the cravings in check. And it really is a metabolic powerhouse, especially in midlife. Mistake number two is being scared of the healthy fats. So we hopefully know by now that fats do not make us fat. They help us balance our hormones, they help fuel the brain, they help make meals satisfying. So let's bring on the avocado, the olive oil, the flaxseed oil, whatever you like of healthy fats. Mistake number three is totally overlooking fiber, or at least fiber's importance. So, fiber, you may know, it acts like a broom for our gut and it's a booster for our metabolism. It slows down the glucose spikes and crashes when we're eating carbohydrates. So most women are severely underfibered, if that's a word. So this is going to show up in our energy, our digestion, in our gut, our microbiome being just imbalanced, and also on the scale in terms of stubborn weight.
And you mentioned about the fats. I can remember I worked at the YMCA almost 40 years ago now, and being in training, like, where they were training the fitness instructors and that, and saying, when you eat protein, it goes to muscle, and when you eat fat, it goes to fat. So it's
Uh,
not our faults that we think this because there was a lot of faulty research in the day that, made us think this.
yeah.
Yeah. And I want everyone to just say we do not have to be perfect. This is a big lesson during my weight loss journey. The first few times, for example, I would dive in and have some chips at a party, which is like, oh, can't have chips, they're bad food, right? I thought everyone would point and shout, look what the yoga teacher's eating. And the first time I planned to eat a donut on purpose, I planned it. I was mindfully eating my donut. I just felt giddy because these were demonized foods that I, of course, still snuck when my defenses were low. And all that diet trauma, all those outdated ideas wreaked havoc with my nervous system.
Mm.
Once I allowed myself to plan the odd treat now and then, there was no rebellion factor. It wasn't so fun anymore. And I just felt much more in control. And feeling in control around donuts and chips, that feels really good.
Yeah, like how empowering. And
Yeah.
not feeling deprived is such a key point, and a powerful shift. So many women just don't realize how much food trauma that they're carrying around until they try to eat that damn donut without any guilt. So, not feeling deprived is, I think, the key to everything and making a nutrition plan sustainable for life. Because let's be real, when your brain feels restricted, it rebels. And that's biology and not lack of willpower. So the good news is you don't have to live in deprivation to reach your health goals. There are so many simple, satisfying swaps that can give us the same dopamine hit without sending our blood sugar through the roof or on the roller coaster and leaving us in that shame spiral. So some of the things that I can come up with, like just briefly, are, if you're craving that salty, crunchy snack or chips, what about trying something like dry roasted chickpeas with some sea salt and even some smoked paprika or cumin goes really beautifully. My favorite crunchy snack is getting parsnip peels. Like you peel the parsnip and then you can either air fry them or fry them or put them in the oven and bake them. You can also use guacamole with some vegetables or cucumber if you're looking for that crunchy kind of satisfying treat. And if you still want chips, of course, have them. And like what you said, Cheryl, plan it and then portion it out and sit down and enjoy every single one of them without shame, without guilt, without remorse.
And if I could just break in for a quick second, that was a big thing because you mentioned dopamine. If you're eating when you're in a shame spiral type thing, and you don't want people to know you're eating the chips or the donuts, so you're sneaking it really fast, the dopamine hit doesn't have a chance to kind of kick in, and you haven't gotten that relief from it that you were expecting. So you're driven to eat more of it. And next thing you know, you're at the bottom of the Oreo bag and you don't know how you got there. So enjoy your food, you
Yeah,
know?
the dopamine hit that doesn't hit when you're sneaking it. Yeah, that's
When you're sneaking it, you're too busy feeling crappy about yourself.
and let's not forget that processed foods are manufactured intentionally to be more palatable. And what that means, what that equates to is there's chemicals, concoctions, there's scientists that are paid exorbitant amount of money to create foods that um, prompt us as humans to desire more. So we're already kind of struggling uphill against our own willpower because the foods are created in such a way that food companies want to sell more food. So they make them more enjoyable and palatable for our human brains to be overridden and desire more dopamine. So fascinating. And then also degrade our microbiome. That's a whole nother topic. So when we're talking about some healthy swaps, if you're the kind of person like me that you need a sweet fix, or that's my specialty, particularly chocolate. But you may consider, instead of a whole chocolate bar or a crappy milk chocolate bar, looking for dark chocolate covered strawberries, or even some Greek yogurt with berries and a drizzle of honey, or even a healthy, hopefully it's delicious to you, dark chocolate, like a couple of squares or one square of dark chocolate can really be very satisfying. For me, my favorite, well, there's many favorite chocolate recipes, but my go-to is avocado chocolate pudding. You can probably find a whole host of recipes of chocolate stuff on my website if you're looking for any. The idea here is to find something that is not going to get you hooked or cause the crash of the blood sugar and the insulin and get us on that whole spiral. And where we can to avoid those processed foods unless they are planned in advance and with portion control because our brains get hijacked, our guts get hijacked intentionally. It's a science. It truly is. So if you're the kind of person who likes like creamy kind of treats, you may consider making a pudding out of chia seeds with some coconut milk and some cinnamon. or maybe mashing up some avocado. You can, of course, make my chocolate avocado pudding, or you find a recipe online, or even adding some lemon. So that texture of avocado is very satisfying, they're very rich and nutritious. One of my favorite go-to creamy kind of treats is it's a simple recipe, Greek yogurt, and a scoop or a spoonful of organic peanut butter. And if you want to get really crazy, because I love chocolate, you can sprinkle some chocolate cacao nibs on top. So the idea here is to not live your life in deprivation, is to give yourself the reward. And what if it's the real thing? Sometimes you just want to have a bag of chips, or like you, Cheryl, have a donut. So do it. Plan it in advance, though. This is, I don't want to say a hack. It's very intentional to involve the higher functioning part of our brain to plan in advance and to choose it, and then to enjoy it, savor it, eat it slowly. Don't sneak around. There's no shame, there's no apology that's needed. This is how we take our power back and enjoy life with reward, without shame or guilt or rebellion. So the more we nourish ourselves with intention and not by restriction, the more we're going to build trust, and you build power within your body and for your body. And then from there, our nervous system can calm down. Your metabolism works a whole lot better, and those old habits and patterns start to fade. And that's where the real freedom comes from, and the smart strategy of working together, your mind and your body together.
Yeah. And I got to get some more of those recipes off your website, Charlie.
Okay. Ooh, please.
In hindsight, I tell you I lost 25 pounds like it was nothing, but to make that commitment to myself, to seek out some professional support, I was pooping my pants. So I totally get that our listeners might be, oh, this all sounds so great, but my metabolism is wrecked because of a medication, or because I can't exercise because I have an injury, or my weight is different than other people's weight. Um, those were all thoughts I had too. I thought I just had different metabolism than everybody else. So what Sharlene and I have been doing here, these podcasts, these videos, they are yours, listeners, to watch them over and over, to dissect them. And eventually, you'll hear the magic words. And I wish Sharlene and I knew what the magic words were, so that everybody would feel empowered and healthy and lose that menopause belly they don't want. But there will be some words sometime in these videos that unlock your mind. And that's the secret, because that's what happened with me. I woke up one day and somebody said something about mindful eating or hormones, and it just unlocked my mind. I woke up to my true potential, and bringing these kind of videos to you now was part of that process. It's not just the weight that dropped off in the last year. I shed a lot of the bullshit in my mind. Well, I'm working on it anyway.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? And yeah, it's so fascinating. They say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I feel like that's it. The right timing, the right words at the right intersection of time leads us to the next step. So,
So you might have to listen to these videos over and over again at different times, and something will hit, right?
yeah, I agree. And so if you're the kind of person that's sitting there thinking, yeah, this is what I've been going through, I have these same struggles, or if something is resonating with you through what we've been talking about here, I want you to know that you don't have to figure this out alone. Obviously, there are plenty of resources. Hopefully, Cheryl and I are one of your resources. This is ultimately the work that I do, supporting midlife women who are ready to take charge of their health, their metabolism, their energy, their life, their hormones at a whole nother level. So the work that I do isn't surface level coaching. It's very high level, personalized, custom support backed by science, backed by lab testing. And we look at real data. So this is not just a generic one size fits all nutrition plan. It's highly customized for you after sending you to the lab. We start with functional comprehensive lab testing, so we're not guessing, and we look at actually what's going on with your metabolism underneath the hood, what's going on in your own unique body, your own deficiencies, your own excesses. and your hormones, your gut health, the inflammation that you have going on, and so much more. So it's really about getting the full picture here and not just throwing another diet at the wall and then hoping that it sticks, especially if it's a temporary kind of a fix. Hopefully I've been talking about during this series is, finding something that's sustainable, that is real and supportive for you. That's where we start. So from there, we can build a tailored plan that supports your body, your lifestyle, your goals, and we work very closely together. You're not just handed a worksheet or a PDF and left to figure it all out on your own. This is really high touch coaching with accountability, some mindset work, behavioral change, support, nervous system support, and practical strategies that actually fit into your real life. So if you're done with the one size fits all, that type of plan, that kind of style, and you're ready to get the real answers and real results, reach out. Book a call. I offer a 30-minute consultation for free. There's no obligation. It's not a sales pitch. It's really to understand where you're at, what you're trying to achieve, and if there may be a plan to get you there. I'm happy to walk you through it. So we can talk about what's possible for you when and if you're ready to stop guessing and actually start working with your body and supporting it that way.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful resource, Charlene. So much experience goes into what you offer your clients.
Thank you.
And I have programs that help with the mindfulness and the movement piece. Um, I have a program called the She Mindfulness course. She standing for Stronger, Happier, Energized. It's an online course that's coming up. You can work at your own pace. There will be some group sessions via Zoom, so you can have a sense of community within that course. And we cover mindful movement, mindful rest, mindful eating, and mindful self-care. All topics that we've touched on in our sessions together, Charlene, but we expand them out and explain exactly the processes, the practices, and how to put it all together. There is a retreat this summer, June of 2025, where we'll be going through the SHE program in a residential format. There's still a couple places left on that. And of course, there are tons of yoga videos on my website that will give you some inspiration around that mindful movement piece. How to modify poses, for example, if you're experiencing joint pain, if you have osteoporosis, if you have a joint replacement like hip or a knee, shoulder issues, back problems. So there's lots of free resources that at least will get you going there. And I'm always available to talk further, and maybe I do some private work with people if that works.
Yeah, Cheryl, you have so much information accessible for free. So I hope that the viewers here scope out your website and or YouTube channel and experience it for themselves. And I want to thank you for inviting me to collaborate, to taking that step, that brave step. Um, so let me ask you, are you ready to go to work on those deeper dive courses?
You bet. You bet. It's been my pleasure, Charlene. And thank you to all the people who have commented on these podcasts and videos and who are emailing about our content. So namaste to you all.
Yeah, thank you. And please check out our show notes here to get all the web addresses and links for all the resources that we've been talking about, and sign up for our newsletters to stay connected with one of us. And also, please stay in touch. Okay, bye for now and namaste.